So you're thinking about moving to Bend, Oregon, but you're curious about the cost of living as it relates to where you might be moving from as you make your decision to move to Bend? Well, we're going to be talking about that today in this video. We're going to be comparing the cost of living to Bend, as well as the state of Oregon, as well as the national average, and seeing how Bend sizes up. So if this video sounds like it's for you, then stick around because we're going to be getting after this right now. Hey, if this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living, eating, sleeping, working, playing, the cost of living, the good and the bad of living in Bend, Oregon, then tap that notification bell below and subscribe to the channel so you can be the first to know about the current market in Bend, Oregon. My name's Ryan and I've lived in Bend for over 30 years. My business partner, Zach, and I, we get calls and texts every day from people just like you, looking for help on making their move to Bend, Oregon, or anywhere else in the Central Oregon area. We absolutely love what we do. Whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or even set up a Zoom meeting. We'd be happy to help you make that smooth move to Bend, Oregon, or anywhere else nearby. So as we stated in the intro, today's video is about the cost of living in Bend, Oregon. Now, Bend has kind of a stigma attached to it right now. It can be kind of negative as far as the cost of living because the housing prices have gone up so much over the course of the last couple of years. And that's been the case for a lot of different places as well, but it's not necessarily just pinned on Bend. There's other areas too that have to deal with this. But today we're going to be focusing on Bend and its cost of living as it relates to Oregon as well as the national average. So what I have here for you today is a pretty cool tool. It is called bestplaces.net. And what they do is they do cost of living analysis on different cities as well as just individuals. And so we're just focusing on Bend today. And what they have is a barometer of 100, and they look at several different categories that relate to cost of living, and they basically rank it either above or below 100. 100 is the national average for every category, and so that's what we're going to be looking at as it relates to Bend in today's video. So without further ado, let's just begin right now. We're going to look at the first here. You can already see the screen as I shared it, but Bend's overall score is 131, and the national average is 100. So Bend slightly is a little bit higher in terms of its cost of living than the national average. That is to be expected. Bend is on the West Coast. It's in a very premier area, very sought after area. It's got close proximity to big cities, metropolitan areas like Seattle and San Francisco, LA and Portland, of course. But that's going to come with the territory. It's a very sought after area in terms of its outdoor lifestyle, the amenities that are offered here. So of course, there's people that want to live here. If a town is bustling and is growing at the rate that Bend is growing at, of course, the cost of living is going to be slightly higher than the national average. So 131 compared to 100 could be worse. I'm sure we're going to show you that here a little bit later in the video and give you some perspective as it relates to other towns. But yeah, 131, Oregon's average is 114. So even in just the state, Bend has a slightly higher cost of living than just the state of Oregon's average. So if we were to go through some individual categories here to give you some more perspective, let's start with the top one on the line here. It's groceries. It's 102 compared to the national average of 100. We're kind of isolated here. We're on the other side of the mountains. We don't really have a freeway system. We've got a highway system. It kind of comes through, but we're about 3 hours away from just about most of these big distribution centers, whether they're in Portland or Eugene. And then beyond that, we're 8-hour drive from San Francisco, 6-hour drive from Seattle. So it could take additional transportation to get here with some of the goods. But we do have an airport, but it doesn't necessarily cater to all the things, all the products and services that are coming into this area. So groceries, especially, we've got some higher end grocery stores. There's a lot of people that are health conscious. They have the means to pay for the things that they do like. They're not just bargain hunters all the time. So that could drive the prices up. We've got Whole Foods, we've got Trader Joe's, we have Market of Choice. We've got some mom and pop grocery stores, Lovejoy's. We've got the Newport Avenue Market. They've got some higher price point items. But we've also got the bargain shopper type stores as well, Food for Less, Winco. We've got Costco. That's a very popular store, of course, but additionally, I mean, we're right there in the mix. It's just slightly above average. So there's really nothing to see here when it comes to the cost of groceries. Our healthcare cost is a 97.9. The average nationally is 100. So we're slightly below. That's nice to see. Bend is a very sought after area. There's going to be a lot of health practitioners that want to live and move their career here because they love the lifestyle that the Bend area provides them. So there are thousands of qualified, just fantastic health practitioners. It doesn't matter what category of health we're talking about. They're here. They want to live here. They're trying to carve out a niche for themselves, whether they're working for the St. Charles system, which is the largest employer in our area, or they're more of a mom and pop entrepreneurial style where they're opening up their own practice and trying to build a book of business. Either way, it's great. We've got great people here. They're just amazingly qualified. So again, our health costs are slightly below the national average. Again, that also plays a role with the type of people that live here. There's a lot of health conscious type people. They take care of themselves. They eat right. They want to do good for their body. They want to bring that to the people around them as well as their family. So that makes sense why our healthcare costs are a little bit lower, because we are generally a healthy society here in town, healthy group of people in our community. Median home cost or housing is going to be the big elephant in the room here. It's a 217 compared to 100. Of course, Bend is a very sought after area. A lot of people relocate from the Seattles, from the San Franciscos, from the Southern Californias. So those are going to be higher price point areas than Bend. You'll see that here in a moment, but they're going to take what they sell down there. They're going to take their lifestyle from down there. They're going to bring it here, and they're going to pay top dollar for the home they want. There's going to be competition for those houses. You're going to notice that here, that if we look at this report, this is the local median home price report here in town over the last 36 months or so, up to 36 months. You're going to see here back in January of 20, it was 449, and then it just kind of slowly trends up. But this is the way it was for just about everywhere in the country over the last 24 to 36 months. Obviously, we know why. So as you can see, the uptick in housing was just crazy at its peak back in March of 2022. $773,000 was our median home price. That's since dissipated, starting to trend down a little bit. And so January of 23, it was $685,000 for our median home price in this area. If we scroll down a little bit, what we're going to see is the amount of houses that we're actually selling in this area too on a monthly basis. And so you can just see from January and 20, we had 318 that we sold way back in May of 20, June of 20. That was just an unbelievable number. And then it slowly kind of ticked up and down, but it's slowly overall it's tapering down, and we are down all the way below 100 for the first time in over 2 years. In the last 2 months, December of 22 and January of 23, you can see here that housing has slowed down a little bit. That's going to bring the average price point down. It makes sense. You can see it here. So that's kind of where things are at with the housing market, and that also plays a role as to why housing is a 217 compared to the national average of 100. And of course, it's much higher than the rest of Oregon as well. So we just have to deal with where we're at. It's a very sought after area. Housing is going to be expensive, but it is starting to taper back. It's correcting back to the mean, and that's exciting for a lot of people that are in the market as would-be buyers, because the last 24 months, if you were trying to buy a home in Bend, you probably experienced some sort of buyer fatigue, and it felt very stressful, and the anxiety was high because you knew that you had to place an offer higher than asking, and it had to be immediately, because typically the average days on market was in the single digits. It was just crazy. And so that's starting to taper up again. I think it's about 36 to 40. So that's good news for people that are looking to buy. We're correcting back to more of a healthy housing market, which is what it's really all about. That's what we need. And so as we continue on, the median home price here, this is a little dated. We just saw that it's $685,000 in Bend as of this recording in early 2023. Utilities, this is a nice one, okay? The national average is 100. The average for utilities here is 83, almost 20% less expensive than the national average. We've got great power sources up on the Columbia River, the Bonneville Dam, as well as additional dams that creates all types of energy for this Northwest area. But there's almost 300 days of sunshine for solar power. There's just it's just a good spot to be. And so it's nice to see that the average for our utilities is going to be significantly lower than the national average. Transportation, again, very, very low compared to the national average. Now, this number 100 probably plays a role with larger metroplexes and places where people need to commute to and from work. Bend, there's a lot of people that work from home. It's a small enough town where people can get to where they need to go on foot or on bike. Uber, Lyft are both here. We don't have a huge public transportation system. We do have a bus line. It's public and it's relatively new. In fact, Bend at one point was the largest city in America that didn't have a public bus transportation system, but we've since changed that. But I don't see a lot of people using that. Again, it's just a small enough town where you don't necessarily need to travel via car or some other type of vehicle to get to where you need to go. So that's nice. And then miscellaneous expenses, those are going to be a little bit higher too. Cost of restaurants, cost of going out, cost of recreation, those types of things add up. I think there's a significant number of people that are willing to pay those types of expenses because they like the lifestyle that Bend provides. So that automatically is going to bring that number from 135 compared to 100. It's going to be significantly higher. But again, Bend is just a relatively affordable place to live. It's all about the perspective, where you come from. A lot of the places that people relocate from, Eugene, Portland in the state of Oregon. Eugene's overall score, if Bend's is 131, Eugene has one about 107. So yes, Bend is a little bit more expensive than Eugene. Portland is 132. So right there in the same ballpark as Bend. In fact, they're just about the exact same when it comes to the cost of living. Boise, Idaho, okay, some people are commuting from Boise and they're moving over here. That's actually the lowest cost of living in terms of all the cities that I'm comparing right now. And Boise is a 116. I'm sorry, it's not quite as expensive, or it's a little bit more expensive than Eugene, but Boise is 116. And so again, in the same ballpark, cost of housing is going to be lower over there. Cost of living is definitely lower in Boise. But if we go up to say Seattle, Seattle's a 168. Now we're starting to get into some areas where the cost of living is noticeably higher than it is in Bend. And so a lot of people, there's probably 500 to 600 people over the course of a year that are going to commute and relocate from Seattle to Bend. And they're going to notice a significantly lower cost of living than from where they came from. Again, California is probably the elephant in the room, what people are waiting to hear from. Los Angeles, the Southern California area, that score there is going to be a 176, so higher than Seattle and significantly higher than the cost of living in Bend. And then, of course, San Francisco, the Bay Area, it's over 200. I think it was a 244 when I last checked. So it's almost twice the cost of living in San Francisco. So if you're coming from the Bay Area and you're bringing everything here with you, you're going to notice a significant tick down in terms of your cost of living. And that's going to be something that's very refreshing for you. But just about everybody in California that's getting out of the state, it doesn't matter where they go, they're going to have a lower cost of living. So it's not just Bend, but it's anywhere that people from California are relocating to. So that gives you some perspective. Bend, while it is a little bit higher in terms of its national comparison in terms of cost of living, it's not necessarily just that crazy. And so if we look at this website over here too, this is kind of unique. This is about Bend, and this will talk a little bit about simple expenses, monthly expenses that we can expect to endure no matter where you live. The total with rent is $2,888. The general expenses for one person, a family of four, is $6,000. Okay, the food expenses for a family of four is $1,991. For an individual, it's $771. Transportation, it's relatively cheap, just like bestplaces.net indicated. Quality of life is a 53. Our population, okay, yep, right about 100,000. And so this just kind of gives us some perspective on what the real cost of living is. Bend isn't that bad. There's far more expensive places to live. There's other places that are much more affordable than Bend. Yes, it is slightly above average, but that's to be expected if we want to live in such a spectacular place. And so this whole list here gives you some ideas as to what the cost of living in Bend generally is. It even goes down into individual groceries. So something to consider here. You guys can pause the video, take a look at it if you guys are curious. But again, all right in the thick of it when it comes to just like amenities that we're looking for, recreational types of things. Jeans, okay, $52 for jeans. I mean, this is it's pretty interesting. So I wouldn't be able to compare that to any other area. But this just kind of just to wrap up the video here, what we're trying to do is just provide you some context as to what the cost of living in Bend is. Maybe there's a stigma that you're associated with. Maybe you're coming from California and you're just super excited about just the general cost of living. The taxes are different in Oregon compared to California. They're significantly less. So it's all about where you're coming from and what your goals are. But our goal here with this channel is to provide as much value as we possibly can so you can make the most informed decision as it relates to your relocation and real estate needs. Our contact information is in the comment section below. You can call us, you can text us, you can email us, you can set up a Zoom meeting. We want to meet you where you're at, but it starts with you guys. You have to reach out to us, and then we can show you around town when it's time and help you find the best possible place for where you want to live in Bend and or anywhere else in Central Oregon. But please like the video if you liked it. Please subscribe to the channel if you like the channel. It helps us stay motivated. It helps us get the word out to more people so we can help as many people as we possibly can. I want to thank you guys for watching this video today. And if I don't see you around town, I will just plan on seeing you on the next video. Have a great day.